Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to call on Matt Bailey for the invocation. Amen. Stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated. Okay, now we're going to call on Kevin Selmon. You know he didn't win for the Gary Harper Memorial Pick'em Contest.
Good afternoon, everybody. This week, week number 6, we had 22 Pick'em players. The last man standing game of the week was LSU at Auburn. Only 10 out of 22 got it right. Going into last week, we had 2 folks left in the last man standing contest. Our president, Chris Sullivan, and Wayne Jones. Chris wasn't here and didn't submit his pick, so he's out. Wayne picked LSU for some reason, so he's out, which means we don't have a last man standing winner this year. The upsets, according to the Pick'em sheet last week, were Virginia over North Carolina, Northwestern over Iowa, Texas over Oklahoma State, and Seneca over BHP. There were a few interesting picks this week. Last week, 19 out of 27 got all the high school games right. This week, only one person got all the high school games right. Josh Abels. Are you here? Congratulations. Yeah, lucky. All of us picked, there were 4 unanimous picks. All of us picked North Carolina to beat Virginia. All 22 of us got it wrong. Everybody picked Georgia to beat Kentucky. We all got it right. Everybody picked A&M to beat Arkansas, and everybody picked Coastal to beat Georgia State. We had 6 players at 15-5. We had 3 at 14-6, and 6 at 13-7. For our loser of the week, at 9-11, the recipient of a custom-made porcelain turlet, compliments of Cobb Oxford and Oxford Farms, and he can add to his collection. Tony Stevens.
You know, it's just as hard to pick a loser as it is to pick a winner.
That's right. There you go. Enjoy that.
Good job, Tony.
There you go. Thank you. All right. Our $50 winner of the week in a league of his own at 16-4 is Mr. Josh Abels. Congratulations. This week, just a reminder, a list of our current standings, they're being floated around. They're somewhere in here. Nancy also has a copy of them. This week is our last week for picks, so do your best. We'll have 7 weeks of picks, and your best 6 will count. We'll throw out your worst week. So if you were here for all 7 weeks, you throw one out. If you missed a week, obviously won't get counted. If you have any questions about the contest or the standings, come see me after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, now, for that time of the week that we all look so forward to, the players of the week, the coach of the week, the jokes of the week, none other than Coach Jim Fraser.
Thank you now, George. Excuse me. So happy to see my good buddy Danny Ford here. Danny, as I told Dave, sorry, guys. Okay, all right, don't get excited. I'm okay. As I told my good buddy David Bennett, it was quite a strain on us to change from the library over here. Damn it. We knew how uncomfortable. Go with something else. I'll come back. Go with something.
You gotta come back.
All right, you want to get we'll get old Coach Ford up here.
Y'all just took my breath away. Yeah, get Coach Ford up here.
I'll tell a joke.
All right, we'll get back to that in a few minutes. Let's get our old president, Bill Brissy, up here to introduce our speaker and get our speaker. Come on up, Bill.
I'm hoping you can read. I hope I don't have that trouble. But Jim does such a good job always. Been doing it a long time. You know, I don't know whether y'all realize it or not, and we've had Danny Ford here for 39 times. Can you believe here? You've been here 39 times. And do you realize how much money we paid you? I'm gonna call you. Well, I figured it up. I went back to the checkbook.
Don't tell nobody. I'm embarrassed what you're
$21,000. That's the reason we don't have it in money, Jim. We've been paying Danny Ford too much money. You know, everybody knows about Danny Ford, so it's not much you can say when you introduce him or you don't introduce him, just you present him. But I had him to write some things down for me today that y'all probably don't know about Danny Ford. His favorite place to go to vacation is Myrtle Beach. And I don't know why, because apparently he makes a trip down to the beach club because his favorite song is Brown Eyed Girl. Can you believe that? Are you a shagger? No, sir.
We swear danced in Alabama.
And I asked him if he had a favorite newspaper, and he used that verb again. He said no. He put something in front of it, of course. But his TV station is Fox. That's a pretty good station. And this is a very interesting. Could anybody guess what his favorite restaurant is? Anybody that gives me a free meal. That's pretty good. He likes tomatoes. That's his favorite vegetable. He likes plums. And his beer, he claims to be Budweiser, but it's any free beer too, I think. We checked him one time at a party, and he acted like he couldn't have anything but Budweiser. So we went back and poured a Bud Light into a Budweiser can, and he drank it like anything else. He didn't know the difference. Of course, I think it had 7 or 8, by that time. But he likes gumbo soup, he likes steak, he likes ice cream. These are his favorite desserts. So if y'all invite him over to your house, be sure and do it. And nobody could guess where his favorite fishing place is. My own pond, he says. And can you believe, after all that stuff in the paper a few months ago, about how hard he's been working and how hard this growing hemp is and how tough it is getting up in the mornings, he says his favorite hobby is farming. Now, I think you fudged a little bit on that. He likes a Ford truck, he likes a Kia automobile, and he's a Baptist. And I think that we found out a lot of things about you today that we didn't know about you. We know about all you. And did y'all know that he had 2 undefeated seasons at Clemson? He was undefeated. Can y'all, anybody in here know the 2 years that he was undefeated? When he took over at Clemson, he won 1 game that first year. So he's undefeated that year. And he won, and of course in 1981 he had the championship team. So anyway, that's a few stats about Danny Ford. There's not a whole lot I can tell you other than a few years ago when he came back from Arkansas, he called me to look at a lake house. And I went down and I was going to show him some pretty nice lake houses because I knew he had a lot of money. And I went down to pick him up in that old beat up truck, and mine was an old Scout. But he got out of that truck and he had on knee boots, and he'd been into out there, I guess, in the pasture because he had stuff all the way up to the top of his boots, the worst looking boots that I've ever seen. And he comes over to get into my car, and we're going to look at these nice homes that's carpeted and beautiful. I said, Daddy, those boots, I said, do you have anything else to wear? He said, he started laughing and went back to his truck and got a pair of shoes. He's trying to put me on again. Danny, it's always glad to have you here, and you're a good friend. You're amazing what you've done for the community, and we appreciate you as a friend. Okay, Danny Ford.
Fraser's going to make a comeback before Danny gets up. Come on, Coach.
You comeback kid. Yeah, I mimic what George said, that we left the library because Danny was so uncomfortable around all those books. You wonder what he got all these books for. People read them, Danny. Let me make an introduction before I get into my stuff. Hanna's playing for the state championship in volleyball tomorrow. Our coach Becky recently won her 300th game, which is about as many as you and John McKissick won together, Danny. So they go around and play Wando. They dispatched 3 really good teams this week without giving up a loss. We had to, stand up, Becky, please. We're glad to have we're glad to have Becky here and her daughter who plays setter, and her name is Bella, and Bella's going to William and Mary, and they're going to change William and Mary to William and Bella. Thank you, ladies, for being here, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. So I'm going to rush right through this JV joke. So the guy said I had too much to drink last night, so I took the bus home, and that fella said, that's real smart of you. How'd that go? She says, not too well. I've never driven a bus before. So 2 kids were sitting around. We're getting varsity now, Danny. This is going to be hard to top. We heard this in 1994, you together. And my son had just got head coaching job at Belton Honey Pan, and Danny gets up to the microphone and says, Chuck Fraser's going to do pretty good at BPH if his daddy would leave him alone. BPH, y'all, not BHP. All right, so these 2 kids were sitting around, and they were bemoaning the fact that their parents and grown-ups gave them no respect. And the 7-year-old said to the 5-year-old, says, to get respect, you got to know how to cuss. If you don't know any cuss words, grown people aren't going to listen to you. Do you know any cuss words? And the 5-year-old said, no. He says, we'll both learn one and spring one on Mama at breakfast in the morning. Fine, let's do that. So at breakfast the next day, they sitting at the table, and Mom comes in, goes over to the sink, starts busying herself, said to the 7-year-old, son, you figured out what you want for breakfast yet? He says, hell, Mama, I think I'll have some damn Cheerios. She says, what? You cussing in my kitchen like that? You got to get out of here. And she cuffs him about the ears, chasing him out of the screen door, just kicking and screaming. Goes back to the sink. In 2 minutes, she puts her head over his shoulder and says to the 5-year-old, says, how about it, son? Have you figured out what you wanted for breakfast yet? He says, no, ma'am, but you bet your ass it won't be Cheerios. Let's get to our offensive players of the week, our players of the week. Real pleasure to me to introduce Cameron Jones. Cameron is a 6'2", 6'4", 210-pound quarterback from Pendleton. He was 19 for 31 for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns as Pendleton blasted Pickens 36-29. Cameron is the son and grandson of Preston Jones, who it was my pleasure to coach, always a pleasure to coach and have his son come back. And Preston was up here many times, and his dad, Wayne, who coached with me many years. And also with Preston, we've got head coach Jason Tone, we've got his grandmama, Dallas, his mom, Catherine, and his big aunt, Edsley. So the Jones people, please stand up and take a bow. All right. Also an offensive player comes from Wren. He's Noah Staples, and he's a quarterback. And this kid's 6'4", 215. He's a senior. He was 14 for 24 for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed 9 times for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wren blasted Palmetto 61-64-13. Noah has several Division II offers so far, and so he's mulling over them. So come up here, Jason. There he is, okay? Noah. With Noah, we've got his head coach, super coach, Jeff Tate, and we've got his dad, Justin. So congratulations, Noah. Let me give you an offensive lineman now, Charles Couch. And I take great pleasure in introducing Charles, who's an offensive lineman, because I coached his dad, Brian Cathy, out at Hanna. And I hate to say this, Brian, but if you were 6'1", 288 pounds, like your son, you'd still be playing somewhere. You were that. You weighed how much? 165. Charles is a center. He's a junior. He graded out at 90% with 4 pancake blocks as Hanna dispatched Westside 26-7. With Charles, we've got his position coach, Jimmy Quinn. We've got his dad, as I said, Brian Cathy. We've got his mom, Jennifer is with him, and also his sister, Ella. So stand up, please, Brian and Ella and Jennifer, please. I give you a defensive lineman now, and Ryan Wynn is from TL Hanna, and the Winns have been dominating the Hanna football scene for a while. Old Ryan is 6'2", 260 pounds. He's a defensive end. He had 6 tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 tackle for a loss as Hanna beat Westside. And Ryan has a bunch of offers now, too many to mention. And with Brian, we've got his position coach, Coach Bonner. We've got his mom, Lavelle. We've got his brother, Stefan, and his sister, Tamara. So we'd like to have you folks stand up. I want you to get a real good look, folks, at what an SEC lineman looks like. There's that big dude back there. Plays at the University of Alabama, and he plays well. Stand up a little while. Some of them didn't see you there. Big win. Glad to have you back in town, pal. Is that good so far? Okay. Okay. Moving right rapidly along. Powdersville gives us Will Goforth. Will is 6 feet tall, 220 pounds. He's a linebacker, a senior. And Powdersville's been tearing it up, and one reason is because of Will. He had 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. As Powdersville beat Man 35-6. He also had a forced fumble. With Will, we've got head coach Robert Mustar. We've got his mom, Kim Hanna, and his dad, Chad Goforth. Please stand up, Kim and get Chad, please, so we can get a look at it. Thank you. Keep the cover. Also, a defensive player comes from Pendleton. Preston Nix, 5'8", 180, a linebacker, senior. Had 17 tackles. He had 4 assists. Had 2 tackles for loss. He had a first hit on a critical 4th down stop in overtime. Pendleton beat Pickens 36-29 in 2 overtime. With Preston, we've got his position coach Eric Boggs and his dad Tim Nix. Stand up, please, Tim. So far, so good. My voice and my legs are holding true. Go with it there, guys. Don't give up on me now. Our coach of the week comes from T.L. Hanna. And that was a really good coaching job because Hanna, the last 2 weeks, had a real goat rope. They got ready to play Burns on Thursday. And Burns had a positive test. Back when I coached, if Burns was a counselor, I'd have been happy back then. Burns was pretty good. And then last week, they were getting ready to play Hillcrest, and that was put off. So they played, I might be wrong on that, but anyway, they played Hillcrest. And so Jason got them together, and they played really great football against Westside. Jason's been in town 5 years. He came to Hanna from one of them Georgia schools, Worth County in Georgia. He was head coach there 4 years. Since he strolled the sidelines at Hanna as top assistant to Coach Jeff Herron, he's walked off the field 36 times with a W and only 5 times with a loss. So they've won 36 out of 41 games, which is probably the best, as good as it ever got out there. So congratulations to Jason Tome and all the guys. Hanna has a big one tonight. They entertained Hillcrest, both teams undefeated, for the right to represent the region. Belton Honey Path is going to play at Palmetto for a chance to make the playoffs, and also superiority for the Possum Kingdom, which that area is called. Danny, did you know that Possum Kingdom? Crescent plays Dixie, and here's a big one. Powdersville and Wren only lost 1 apiece, and Powdersville is a spinoff of Wren High School, and they play each other tonight, which should be a win dilly. And Pendleton entertains Seneca. So you see a game of your choice. Congratulations, guys, and good luck. I got through that pretty good, didn't I?
Yeah, you did a real good job, Jeff. Good to see you, my friend. You look good. And all you other people look pretty good out there. Some of you are like me, getting a little harder to move. And it's amazing as I see some of these young kids come up here and these old high school football coaches that, and congratulations to all of them. But Mr. Wynn, I believe I recruited your grandfather, your father at Winsboro, right? Tight end. And you got another one playing at Alabama?
He played it out.
Alabama. So, yeah, well, that's where I went to school, and don't mess that place up down there. We messed it up when we were playing there, but yeah, I'm really glad to be here. And then Preston, of course, your son, back when we recruited you, and all these other girls and men and great players, and congratulations, Coach, on 300 wins. That's amazing. And anything, horseshoes, anything, that win 300 times. And Coach, 30 out of 35 or something out of 41, whatever he said, it's only going to get worse. It ain't going to get no better.
Them numbers always get
Them numbers will get you the longer you stay in there. And you just dreaming if you think y'all paid me $21,000 coming to this thing. But anyway, I don't know why this thing is so high. It says TV.
Think about me.
You had a tough time, but I got to tell a joke. Jim, you may have told me this. I can't tell the one about the airplane pilot because you already told that one about the guy dying, but this was a good one if I can get through it. But I have to write them down because I can't remember them like I used to. These three old boys, and you can use football coaches, you can use NFL players, you can use anything you want to. But these three old boys were sitting around the table and talking, and they said they got to wondering about what's the fastest thing in the world. Y'all heard that one? So they said, what's the fastest thing in the world? And they started thinking about it, and this old boy said, well, the fastest thing in the world is a thought. Before you even know what happened, it's already in your mind, and it's a thought. And the second old boy said, oh, no. He said, the fastest thing in the world is the blink of an eye. Said, you don't even think about it, you blink so fast. And the old third boy said, no. The fastest thing in the world is electricity. He said, electricity? He said, why? He said, well, you flip a light on it, boom, light comes on just like that, just quick. And then this old redneck was sitting there from Anderson, and he was sitting there thinking, and he said, oh no, all three of you guys are wrong. He said, well, what do you think's the fastest thing in the world? He said, diarrhea. And he said, diarrhea? How do you get diarrhea? He said, before you can think, blink, or turn the light on, I done messed in my pants. So you didn't tell me that one, did you? I can tell you this other one about the boy you was telling me. This old young boy was going, on a Saturday, he was going to sleep in late like these kids like to do nowadays. And the mama was mad at him anyway. The mama woke him up and said, get out there and go feed the pigs and take care of the chickens, and then I'm going to feed you breakfast. And the boy, he got up and rubbed his eyes. He was mad and lazy. And he went out there, and he busted them chickens around, kicked them, and threw them around. And came and looked out there. His mama saw him, and then went over there to the pig and pushed the pig around because he was mad at his mama. And did all that, and came back to the house, and Mama said, son, you ain't getting no breakfast. You ain't getting no eggs because you done scared the chickens. They ain't going to lay for a week. Said, you kicked my pig, so you ain't going to get no bacon. You bruised him up. And the boy just shook his head. About that time, Daddy came out. He'd been sleeping. Came down and walking down the steps, and there was a cat in the middle of the room in the way. And the man kicked the cat and kicked him halfway across the room. And the boy said, Mama, you want to tell him or you want me to? So, could you tell that one, Jim?
I was told.
Okay. All right, look, I'm going to do something a little different. I mean, I'm going to try to break down this Notre Dame game because everybody thinks it's such a big game. It ain't going to matter either way. They're going to play again in the conference championship if nothing happens. So whoever wins this time probably going to lose the next time. It's awful hard to beat two people in a row in the same year. But in my opinion, they'll probably play again in Charlotte for the championship game. Because this year, I think in the ACC, they've ruled that they're not playing division football. They're playing the best two teams, right, Cobb? Am I saying that right? So whoever has the best two records will meet again in Charlotte. So like these high school guys, it's hard. Y'all know how hard it is when you play people twice. There's a lot of things. First of all, I want to go back and talk about 1979 just for a second. That guy, y'all young guys wouldn't even thought about being born by then. But we played Notre Dame, and Dan Devine was the coach there at Notre Dame, and Charlie Pell was coach at Clemson. And back then, everybody used to gripe about Clemson and crowd noise. And so Coach Devine sent a telegram or a letter or a telephone call to Gene Carner. I can't say his name, Gene Carner, but he was the AD, and he was a ACC commissioner and AD at Virginia and AD at Notre Dame and all this kind of thing later on. But anyway, talking about crowd noise. So the Clemson students, which are all time, were pretty smart back when I was in school. Back when I was coaching there, they came up with a lot of good ideas. So they did the silent treatment, where they didn't, when they came out to warm up, nobody said anything. You could hear the quarterbacks calling signals. You could hear the coaches coaching during warm-ups. It was a complete silence in the whole stadium. How they did it, I don't ever know. And that was supposedly, I've heard, that was the first year that the orange overalls came out in that particular football game. Don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, after the game got started, and when the Clemson came running down the hill, the cannon went off, the crowd just went crazy, and it was like that all day. And Coach Devine gave a number one sign as he was walking off the field that day, that they were the number one team in the country. But the reason I was telling you the story a little bit is to go back. I was talking to Tim Beret, and I knew he was going to speak today, and I'm your substitute. So I called Tim. I had a question. I just wanted to know how good a quarterback Montana was in college, because I didn't remember. I was an offensive line coach, and I didn't know anything about their offensive personnel, only their defensive personnel. And so I had never heard of Montana, and I was coaching against him as an offensive line coach that particular day. So that was Montana's junior year, and Tim said he was a better than average quarterback, not a great quarterback, but a better than average quarterback, but a great leader. And we got to talking about it, and he said he went on to become a great pro quarterback, and was the 82nd draft choice that particular year. The next year, when he was a senior, there were 4 quarterbacks drafted before him, and we had 3 people at Clemson on that team that was drafted before him. Could any of you guess who they are? One of you's right, one of you's wrong. Jerry Butler, I'm going to make it easy for you. Joe Bostic and Steve Fuller were the 3 that were drafted ahead of Montana. So that was just a little history I was going to tell you. Tim told me that, and I said it'd kill some time. And for what they paid me today anyway, I need to kill time. So we're going back to this year, and I've thought about this. I've tried to do a better preparation job today than I usually do. I usually don't prepare. I just go back and tell old stories. But I started thinking a little bit about this football game. And as I read a couple of articles this morning, and one thing said 6 things that how Notre Dame can beat Clemson and all this deal. And I agreed with some of it I didn't agree with. But I haven't watched enough football on TV to know how good either one of them are. So But this would be my estimation of what's going to happen. Number one, I think the quarterback from Clemson last week did a great job. Probably as good a job as you could do. Maybe even better job than the starting quarterback could have done.
What's his last name?
DJ. DJ, JB, MB, well, you call it whatever you want to. I won't call him sir if he plays like that again this week, I'll tell you that. But he didn't have any time to prepare. You can't say, come in there Thursday, say you're going to start and play Saturday, and we expect you to do a great job. So either they simplified things, or he's a really great student of the game, or he's very far advanced in his football ability-wise. My thinking is he's had a whole week to prepare, think about playing on national TV, and that's not good. That's last week I think probably played on instincts. Just get in there and play. Now he's had a lot of time to study and play and get ready to play. And there'll be a lot more pressure on the young man. And I hope he does well, but there's going to be an awful lot of pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do quite as well or near as good as he did last week. That's got nothing to do with his ability, nothing to do with anything else. It's a better team they're playing. You're playing on the road. You're playing against a team that's got a lot of tradition. They haven't played anybody this year yet, but they have a lot of tradition. So he's got to play good for Clemson to win. They say the quarterback at Notre Dame is just an average quarterback. Not a big kid, 6 foot. And likes to run out of the pocket early. So if they could get some push and pressure on the quarterback and get their hands up, a 6 foot quarterback is not ideal unless you're sprinting out and running away and play action and stuff. For a drop back passer, other than probably one that I know right offhand like Drew Brees, it's really hard to be a professional quarterback at 6 foot. They like the 6'3s. I saw these two quarterbacks get up here. They're 6'3", 6'4", and they got a lot of things a lot of these other quarterbacks don't have. It's his height. So this kid has got to play good. And he's got, if I was Clemson, I'd worry about getting my hands up a lot and not giving him lanes to throw through and try to put a little pressure on him because he likes to run a little bit. But they say he's like Montana and he's a great leader. So that would be the question of which one of those guys are going to do the best. And then the second thing I'd worry about, both running backs supposed to be really, really good. I've seen the guy at Clemson. He is really, really good. And the boy at Notre Dame is supposed to be real good, just a step behind him in the pro draft stock. The only problem, he's about 5'9". He's not as big as the other guy. So the tailbacks are going to be important. And then you go back to they said the best player on the field for Notre Dame will be number 6, the linebacker. But when coming over here, I was listening to some TV, radio stuff, and they said that they got a 6'4", 220-pound safety that's leading the team in tackles. That sounds pretty good to me, a kid that big at safety. But they say the linebacker is a legit pro guy. They don't have a great amount of talent on defense as far as professional talent, but they do a great job of defensive scheming and plugging up the holes and being where they're supposed to be. Very, very sound defensive football team. The key to there would be if they can stop the running game of Clemson and make the quarterback who is new make the long throws from hash to hash, keep everything out of the middle, and make him make some tough throws. But he is very capable, but that would be the way I would see Notre Dame would try to defense them, is take away E.T. or whatever his name is. That's a good dang thing I ain't coaching now. I couldn't spell any of them, and I can't say half of them, so of their names now. So But that'd be the way I would try to do them. But if I was Notre Dame, I have no idea what the kicking game on either team's doing or how good their punters are. I know Spires did a very good job last week, and place kicker, I think he was like 1 for 3 or 2 for 3 or whatever, and has kicked well all year. I have no idea what Notre Dame's kickers can do. But if I was Notre Dame, how I would try to attack Clemson is their strong suit at Notre Dame is supposed to be their offensive line. And I believe I would let my team playing Clemson on the road try to win it running football. Since I didn't like to throw very much, that fits right into what I would want to do anyway. But they say they're supposed to have the best offensive line in the country. If so, and with the number of people Clemson got out of the football game, 3 or 4, y'all probably know better than I do, but Notre Dame also has their 2 wide receivers out of the game. So Idris may play a part of it. Best receivers on the football teams for Notre Dame is supposed to be their tight end. So if I was Notre Dame, I'd run the football, play action, misdirection passes, bootlegs, and screens, and tight end delays and tight end crosses. That's how we lost the game in 1979 when we had Montana down in a 3rd and 31, and McAfee came across the middle and caught it and made a first down after we had fumbled the football going in for a 2-score lead. So that brings back some old memories. The other thing about Notre Dame, when we warmed up there in 1979, 77, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I'd like Fraser. It's not Kathy, it's Couch, right? Yeah. I said, is he kidding that Bob Cathy guy who raised eggs? He said, that ain't his name. That ain't his name. So I'm bad about the years, just like Jim is about the name, Mr. Couch. I'm sorry. But anyway, it was 1977 up there. When we warmed up, I got it backwards. 79. I got some of Jim's disease now creeping in. But 79, when we played up there, they were grass fields. And what we didn't realize, they had already planted ryegrass. And thank God our trainers and managers were smarter than we were, and equipment people, that they carried 2 pairs of shoes, because when we were warming up, when you wear cleats on rye grass, you slip, you slide, you get no footing. So you change cleats, you don't have the metal around the cleats. That's what makes you slide on grass and winter grass. So I asked Tim, I said, have they still got a grass field? And they don't. They've gone to AstroTurf. So you don't have to worry about that on the road. I don't know that I don't believe Clemson's played on AstroTurf this year. And I don't know how many teams they play. Has Georgia Tech got AstroTurf? Tech's the only one. So they haven't played on AstroTurf, I guess, since the playoff game. But I don't know that either. So anyway, you have to worry about a quick story about when the weather going north or going east or going west and playing a football game. When we were at Arkansas, and I was there as an intern coach or whatever I was, it was when Joe Kines was trying to get the job, and I was supposed to go up there and try to help him, and we were playing LSU in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Now, I'd never been to Fayetteville, Arkansas in my life, and I got on a plane one Sunday morning in Greenville. They sent the plane to pick me up. Coach Broyles called and said, after I talked with Coach Kines, he said, will you come up here and try to help us? I said, yeah. I said, let me call my lawyer and make sure I can do it. And they said I could. And so we flew up there, and it took forever to fly. And I'd never been to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I thought Fayetteville, Arkansas would be right in the middle of Arkansas on a big, beautiful campus. Well, I flew for 3 or 4 hours. And finally, I started seeing these chicken houses every damn where. And it was mountainous and hilly. I said, damn, this pilot's done took a wrong turn. I'm back in North Georgia somewhere, with all the chicken houses. So we landed in Fayetteville and got to see everything and got started. And LSU was the first time LSU was coming to Fayetteville in the history of of ever. And it was Thanksgiving weekend. It was sleeting, it was raining, it was snowing, and it was freezing. And LSU had never been to Fayetteville, Arkansas. And they got off the plane, got ready to play that Friday night, and it started that weather. And they didn't have anything but short-sleeve jerseys. Didn't have a parker, didn't have a jacket, didn't have a coat. Every ball that was thrown to them, they dropped it because they didn't want to catch it. It hurt their hands. They played awful, and we beat the devil out of them that particular night because they wanted to get the hell home and get back to some warm weather. Well, the next year I got the job. I hadn't been to LSU since I was assistant coach at Alabama, and I'd forgot how warm it got down there. We'd been in long johns and heavy coats in Arkansas for a month practicing. And in the last game of the year, we flew to LSU, and it was like 80 degrees. And our guys gave up, I mean not gave up, but gave out in warm-ups because it was so hot. And what you got tomorrow, weather-wise, tomorrow night, is supposed to be a beautiful day, 70 degrees, and kickoff time at 52 degrees. So that's not going to be a game factor. And then the other thing, again, if I was playing Clemson, I would make them stop me from running football, and I would see if my offensive line at Notre Dame is as good as they think it is. Everybody's kind of predicting nationally, I think, a low-scoring game. Low-scoring being 24, 26, 21, 20, something like that. I don't know. It ought to be a great game, and a lot of people saying it's going to go 4 quarters late in the game before anybody wins the football game. Hopefully it is as good as everybody says it's going to be, and I'd like to see both teams play great and the best team win and whoever that is. But again, I think you're going to be able to see a rerun of the football game in a couple of weeks for a championship game in the ACC. So anybody got any questions or anything, I'd be glad to talk to you about.
I rate Brian Kelly as a major college coach.
Brian Kelly?
That's the Notre Dame coach.
That's the Notre Dame coach. How do I rate him? You know, I didn't rate any of them that I didn't play against. So I never knew him. I read a story about him earlier today, and supposedly he's got their football team back in the top 10 after some bad years, and they talking the worst thing they said about him in the article. Don't hold me to these numbers, but he's like 3-8 or 3-10 versus top 10 teams. So that would be advantage Clemson, you know, in that situation, because I think Coach Sweeney is probably. I tell you this. I want to say this too. If you believe I believe this. This is what I believe. I believe things cycle. I believe things happen for a reason. I believe you can prepare and do the best you can, but I believe stuff's going to happen, and I believe stuff repeats itself. In 1947, 57, Jim, 57, Notre Dame broke Oklahoma's 47-game winning streak. And that was Bud Wilkinson when he was winning so many football games at Oklahoma. And I think Clemson has won what, Cobb? You know, off the top of your head, 36 in a row. So I would watch that stat too, because I just, things like that bother me. If I was coaching Clemson, that would worry me more than who we played. Because I say, well, it's just time it happens, you know. Because I'm a half-empty guy. Now Sweeney will look at it and say, oh, hell, that ain't nothing, you know. He'll say, yeah, that means we're supposed to win, you know. He turns everything positive. I don't believe he ever had a bad day in his life. But he's done a tremendous job, and he's a tremendous coach, so I'm going to brag on him. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What I remember most about that 77 game against Notre Dame was Dan Devine spent more time on the field than his players did.
Well, he got a flag, and that's why he picked the flag up and handed it to the official, which he didn't supposed to be.
But he's at the hashtag just about after every play.
Well, the only penalty I ever got in my life, well, I'll take that back. The only one I got one at Virginia one time because I stepped on the field. And the guy that threw the flag was from he was from Virginia. And I know why he threw the flag, because he's a Virginia Tech guy. He played at Virginia Tech. And he had a son, and we didn't recruit his son. He didn't even give me a damn warning, you know. He was looking for me all day. And when I stepped on that field with 1 foot, he threw a flag on me. And I still swear to that day. It's something about Virginia Tech that sticks in my mind, because the time I got in trouble, one of the times I got in trouble at the Maryland game down here was when that tight end went and they said he caught the ball, and he didn't catch the ball. And that's when they put the 25-second clock in, and hang it up, and the darn they put the 25-second on the Preston. You know, they used to put it on the scoreboard, and that's where the quarterbacks would look for the 25-second clock. Well, before that, the rule was the back judge would have on his watch, and he'd be looking at the watch. And when it got to 20, the technique was that when it got to 20 on his watch, he went 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, boom, too long. Okay, we got this damn clock on the wall, on the scoreboard, and that dang professor from Virginia Tech, and he wrote 4 or 5 books. He passed away now, but he back there going 21, 22, 23. He's a year behind on the rules, you know, and he never called a 25-second, and it was a 25-second delay of the game that we never got, and that was the quarterback. That's when the quarterback, they said the tight end touched the football, and then that's when I walked on the field, and those microphones, it's like it's election. There's some things came out of that microphone I ain't ever said in my life. I don't know where them words came from, but my mama sure wasn't very proud of me after that day. And the president of Clemson wasn't too happy with me either after that happened. Anybody? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, 2 quick things.
Uh-huh.
After the 78 Gator Bowl, when that incident happened with Charlie Ballman getting hit by Woody Hayes,
Uh-huh.
did you get to talk to Coach Hayes after the game? And if you did, what was said? And the second thing is, how did the orange breeches come about?
Well, I could tell you an hour story about that, what happened in that last minute or so. But when he hit Bowman was a nose guard. And they were running a tight end, fullback, tight end cleared out, fullback blocked the defensive end, 1,001, 1,002, slid over the middle where the tight end pulled the linebacker out of the way. It was going to be a fullback delay. And Bowman's supposed to have been rushing the passer. That's the first thing. But he got blocked. And I thought I've been telling the story, he got knocked down. He didn't get knocked down, but he got knocked out of his rushing lane way over here. And then when he came back over this way, the quarterback threw it to the fullback and hit Bowman right in the hands. Bowman ain't ever caught a football in his life. And here he's on national TV at the Gator Bowl, and he catches the ball. He ain't never caught a ball in practice. And he looks at it, and then he decides to run. Well, he runs to the wrong side of the field. He runs towards Ohio State side. And he's so happy. He's not rubbing it in. He's not being cocky. He just starts jumping up. And he finally realized he intercepted the ball. So he was jumping up and down happy. And Coach Hayes came over there and kind of hit him with a left or right jab. I don't know which one it was. It didn't hurt him because it hit him in the helmet. It couldn't have hurt him. And then all the hell, a fight broke out. Well, I did what Coach Bryant told me to do. dogs fight, football teams don't fight. Get in there and break it up. So I got my little old hat and ran over there, and I was going to break it up. One of them damn got Notre Dame on my mind. One of them Ohio State guys thought I was a manager, and they grabbed me and threw my ass down. I said, I don't care what Coach Bryant said. I'm getting my hat and I'm getting on the other side of the field. So I went back on the other side of the field and came back and asked Butch Lambert, who was an SEC official, he's passed away. And he said, I said, what happened? He said, one of their coaches hit one of your players. I said, well, I can't even hit one of my players. How can he hit him? He said, well, 15-yard penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct. I said, nope, got to do more than that. I said, if you don't throw him out of the game, I'm going to do something to make history. Now, this is my first game. And I'm talking like I'm somebody, you know. He said, what you going to do? I said, well, if you don't throw it out of the game, whoever it is, I'm going to make history and I'm going to quit and turn the TV sets off and go in. I was serious as a $5 bill. And he looked, Mr. Lambert looked at me, he said, son, you want some advice? I said, yes, sir. He said, if you don't do something stupid, y'all gonna win the ball game. I said, carry on, Mr. Lambert, carry on. And you don't remember this, because nobody remembers this, but we're having a hard time moving the ball and killing the clock. And Coach Hayes gets another unsportsmanlike conduct that gives us an automatic first down at the end of the game where we can run the clock out. Because we can't hold them again on defense. Our defense played a hell of a job and played real hard, but we can't, if they get it back, they're going to score. So Mr. Lambert was right, you know, if I just didn't do something stupid. Orange pants, all that came, I don't know how that came about. Our equipment manager asked before the season if we wanted to look at some orange pants. I don't know if I said yes or no or whatever, but he got them within a week, and everybody was on us about being 5-5 or whatever. So I can remember it like it's yesterday, right here at the old Holiday Inn. That's where we stayed. And I put my orange pants on for a pregame meal, put my suit on over it, and I was telling them, I said, all right, I'm going to tell y'all boys something. I said, I don't know what's going to happen today, but it's, and I got on top of the table, and I undone my pants, and let my pants fall. And I had them orange breeches on. And you can imagine what I looked like with a coat and tie and them orange breeches on. Well, them kids went crazy, and they liked the idea. So we didn't put them on till, and how they got them in a week, I don't know, and whose idea it was, I don't know, but whatever it did, it happened to work that particular time. What turns a kid on, it looks to me like you say you play in South Carolina, would be enough to get you excited, but you never know. I mean, I know when we played Georgia, and we didn't have any success against Georgia, and Coach Howard had very little because of the ACC rule and a lot of different reasons. Georgia was a better program and all this kind of thing. And we'd have to play them down there all the time. And then we got where we could play them up here a little bit. And I told our kids one time, because this was their belief, we went to the picture show or a movie. And Georgia happened to come to the same movie. And all the players, and Preston knows that before the movie starts, they go in there and buy popcorn, Cokes, and, you know, watch the movie on Friday night. Well, we came in, and then Georgia came in, and both teams were in the lobby. And darn, we looked as good or better than they did. physically. Good-looking football team. Our kids were a good-looking football team. Georgia, we knew Georgia was this big and super because it was University of Georgia. And they had the reputation and the tradition, and we didn't. But when our kids saw those kids in the movie, and they figured the only difference between them and Georgia was the silver pants, and I can remember this story too, tell them before the game. If we had worn silver pants, we would be the University of Georgia because you're as good-looking football team as they are. But they're here because of tradition and what they've done. But you are equal to them, but you just don't know it. And if you don't think you can, you can't. If you think you can, you can. The whole saying. Okay? So anyway, and then one time, I don't know why I got on this, but one time we was playing down there, and Caddyshack was a movie we saw. You remember that? I don't remember if y'all remember this in the movie. This is the only thing I remember about the whole movie. When they went swimming in the swimming pool, and that thing floated up. Well, I went to the store and bought 3 boxes of Paydays, or Babe Ruth. And at the pregame meal, I said, "Here, the University of Georgia sent you this." So I said, "That's what they think of y'all. Here." So you never know what turns the kid on, what turns the kid off. So anyway, we hope we have a great game this week. High school guys, hope y'all have a great game and hope you have a great career if you want to go to college and all that. Take your time, have fun. You get older, it goes too fast. I know time's slow right now, but it will speed up a tremendous amount of time. But good luck to all of you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And I've always been happy to see the people in Anderson. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Coach. I tell you, old Coach Ford was at a real disadvantage this time. He only called him a little over a week ago, and he didn't have that much time to prepare. He usually prepares for months before he speaks, and so he was at a real disadvantage. But want to announce that Charles Couch is Brian Couch's dad. I think he mentioned that a minute ago. Also, Pendleton coaches Grayson Howell and Eric Boggs. Here, if y'all would stand up, please, and be recognized. If y'all, yeah, good. All right, want to thank our sponsors, and again, Greg Wilson for having this streamed over here. About 1,000 people watch it every week, something like that. Probably a lot more than that this week. And we want to thank all our other sponsors: Granger Nissan, Dillard Sports, Dillard's Trophy, Ryobi, Harris Flooring, Ralph Hayes Toyota, Palmetto Insurance, Blake and Brady Boutique, Bill Brissy, the FCA, the Printer, and Cobb Oxford. See y'all next week. Next week we got our what's our speaker's name?
Ross Taylor.
Ross Taylor. He's the new SID at Clemson. Will be our speaker next week. Everybody have a great weekend. Let's pull those Tigers through.